revealed. I secretly protected my $15 million company before the wedding mom's shocking move exposed. Sarah's heart raced as she flipped through the wedding checklist, the ink still fresh on the page. Emily's wedding, a dream she had cultivated since her daughter was born, was about to transpire in less than 24 hours. It was meant to be a day filled with joy and celebration, representing everything they'd worked for. As she put her pencil down, a pang of anxiety tugged at her chest. This wasn't just about her daughter finding love. It was a testament to their journey from humble beginnings to a $15 million tech empire, a bold achievement that echoed through the suburbs of Chicago. But amid the flurry of bouquets and seating arrangements lay ominous clouds. Financial burdens were surfacing, threatening her hard-earned stability. Days blurred together, filled with emails, spreadsheets, and wedding preparations, each moment swirling with uncertainty. Just when she thought she had covered all bases, her past came crashing in unannounced. The door swung open, revealing the familiar figure of her estranged mother. A wave of contradictory emotions washed over Sarah: anger, betrayal, and a strange flicker of concern. They hadn't spoken in years. Memories of childhood chaos flared vividly, and her initial shock morphed into dread as her mother started hurling accusations. "You think you've built this life fair and square?" Her mother's words cut like glass, slicing through Sarah's carefully constructed facade. Then came the gut-wrenching revelation. Her mother's manipulations had orchestrated a corporate takeover of Sarah's beloved company, driven by deep-seated resentment. The air crackled around them as the truth struck like thunder, leaving no stone unturned. Each accusation echoed Sarah's worst nightmares, shattering years of silence and forcing her to confront the girl she once was, and the mother she had long wanted to forget. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue with Emily's wedding. Stalking closer, Sarah felt the suffocating weight of expectations. She had fought tooth and nail to prove her worth, but now, standing before her mother, she wrestled with the pain of betrayal. Could she protect her legacy while seeking a way to mend the rift forged by years of hurt? As the wedding day dawned, what should have been a celebration was tainted with uncertainty. Guests filled the venue, laughter mingling with the scent of blooming flowers, yet storm clouds loomed. In that charged atmosphere, vows would be spoken, fates intertwined, and as Sarah looked around, her heart bore the real battle, the desire to defend her empire against the person who should have championed her instead. But redemption was just a heartbeat away. Could love bridge the gap between ambition and forgiveness? As conflicting truths lay heavy in the air, Sarah took a deep breath, preparing for the confrontation ahead. The moment for revelation was near, and the stakes had never been higher. In the balance hung not just a wedding, but the backbone of their family, as love, loyalty, and justice intertwined toward a climax that would change everything. As the first rays of morning light spilled through the curtains, illuminating the chaos of the wedding preparations, Sarah found herself frozen in place. The vibrant hum of excitement that filled the air felt like a distant echo. Her mind was consumed by her mother's accusations, playing over and over in her head. Memories of happier times battled against the pain etched in her heart. "Sarah, sweetie, we need you for a quick picture," Emily chirped, pulling her mother from her thoughts. Dressed in her stunning wedding gown, Emily looked radiant, a vision of happiness that made Sarah smile, if only momentarily. It was hard to reconcile the joy radiating from her daughter with the storm swirling within. "Coming," Sarah called out, forcing her feet to move. She plastered on a smile and joined the group, her heart still heavy. As they posed for photos, she caught little locked glances from family members. Sympathy? Concern? It was hard to tell. The weight of her impending confrontation hung there like a dark cloud. Throughout the photo session, Emily's laughter filled the space, making it feel almost normal. Yet, Sarah couldn't shake the gnawing feeling at the back of her mind. Would today mark the end of everything she had built? Could she keep the company and her heart safe from a mother who had barreled back into her life with destructive intention? The ceremony approached like a freight train, inevitable and terrifying. As the guests took their places, Sarah could feel the awkward tension in the air. She glanced toward the back of the venue, half expecting to see her mother looming like a specter. What would she do if she showed up? Just as she was lost in thought, a hush fell over the crowd, signaling the moment everyone had been waiting for. Emily's entrance. Her daughter's smile, pure and untainted, swept Sarah away, and for a heartbeat, she was reminded of the love that drove her to build everything. The company, the family, all of it. That love had remained strong, even amidst the wreckage. But as Emily walked down the aisle, something shifted. In the front row, poised like a queen just waiting for her moment, was her mother. Her presence felt like an iceberg drifting silently in, ready to shatter everything. Tension wound tight in Sarah's chest. She breathed deeply, steadying herself. No more running. Today was about Emily, her bright future, the love that shone between her and her soon-to-be husband. Yet, deep down, Sarah saw it clearly: her fight wasn't over. She had to face her mother, or risk losing everything. As the vows began, with words of love and commitment filling the air, Sarah felt new determination rise. It wasn't just about protecting her empire anymore. It was time to reclaim her happiness and her family. Until that moment, she hadn't realized the stakes were so much higher than she'd ever anticipated. Just as Emily and her fiancé were about to say their adios, Sarah felt her phone vibrate sharply against her leg. A message? From her lawyer. Her breath hitched. Could this juncture expose secrets that could turn the tide? As she glanced down, a sense of dread washed over her. She was being pulled into a maelstrom she might not survive. Would she embrace the chaos or walk away, letting fate take charge? In the lighting of the vows, an echo of her mother's past rang through her ears. How far would Sarah go to protect her future, and what price would she pay to uncover the truth? With her heart racing, she was just about to tap open the message when all at once, she sensed a shifting energy in the room. The wedding cake wasn't the only thing layered in secrets. What awaited her back at the company? What would she have to sacrifice, love or legacy? All of it was about to become unavoidable. With the vows still echoing in her ears, Sarah felt the vibration of her phone against her leg, as if it were a drum signaling the inevitable. Her attention wavered, heart captured in the tension of 100 eyes in the room. She felt the weight of expectation, the longing glances from relatives, but at the center of it all was the image of Emily, so full of life, innocence, and love. She dared a glance at the message. Her breath caught. It wasn't just a check-in. It was a revelation. There it was, plain as day. If she didn't act soon, the future she had fought so hard to protect could crumble faster than she could fathom. Just then, the officiant's voice broke through her haze. Do you, Emily, take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband? The question hung in the air, reverberating with promise. Emily beamed, her eyes sparkling with joy. I do. Those two words seemed to slice through the chaos in Sarah's mind, creating a bright space amidst the storm. Focus on the love, she whispered to herself, trying to drown out the creeping dread. But her instincts were strong. This was bigger than her daughter's love. It was about the legacy of the very thing Emily was about to inherit. As the officiant shifted to her daughter's fiancé, Sarah's decision solidified. She needed to turn off the phone's screen. This moment deserved her undivided attention, and not for a second should it be overshadowed by the specter of her mother. But then Emily faltered for a split second, glancing back at where Sarah stood. The small vulnerability ignited something fierce in Sarah. She couldn't let doubt cloud this perfect moment. Where love flourished, darkness faltered. Aloud, as if in response to the unspoken fears fluttering in the air, the officiant said, "And do you, Jake, take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife?" "I do," he responded, his voice full of conviction. It resonated with a power that rippled through Sarah, filling her with newfound strength. And for the first time since the chaos spiraled into her life, she felt a flicker of hope. The couple joined hands. Watching Emily and Jake standing before family and friends filled her with an unwavering belief. This union pushed back against everything. A new era was being forged, one she so desperately wanted to protect. Today was not just about Emily and Jake. Their vows were a commitment to shape the future. Yet, in the back of her mind, a whisper lingered. Her mother was still there, her presence looming heavy like a shadow. The message could wait, but Sarah knew she couldn't remain passive. They were not just forging vows. Emily was marrying into the legacy Sarah had built, a legacy she feared might be threatened by outside forces. Just as she leaned toward Emily, ready to fully immerse herself in the joy of the moment, a sudden gasp echoed through the crowd, interrupting the blissful silence. Heads turned as the doors swung wide open. Sarah's heart sank as she recognized the figure silhouetted against the backdrop of bright sunlight. Her mother. Stunned faces betrayed the shock, while Sarah's heart raced with a mix of fury and dread. This was the confrontation she had tried to avoid, now arriving uninvited like a winter storm. The whispering began, spreading like wildfire through the crowd. "What's she doing here? Can you believe it?" Sarah took a deep breath, grounding herself as she steadied her gaze on Emily. This was her daughter's moment, but her mother was about to rewrite the script. "I have to protect her," Sarah thought, because the truth was finally coming. But the question loomed, was she prepared for the battle that lay ahead? Would love be enough to shield them from whatever her mother unleashed? As the emotional waves crashed around her, she knew she couldn't escape that confrontation now. The stakes were higher than she'd ever imagined, and this moment was just the beginning. What revelations awaited her, and would she have the strength to face them head-on? Sarah's heart raced as her mother strode into the venue, her commanding presence cutting through the joyous atmosphere like a jagged edge. She'd expected a confrontation, but never like this. Her mother had come to a sacred moment, ready to shake the very foundation of everything. The whispers intensified, echoing Sarah's own swirling emotions. What will she say? What does she want? Jake's eyes widened, confusion replacing the delighted glow that had lit his face just moments before. Emily's hands trembled by her sides, uncertainty creeping into her eyes as she turned to follow her mother's path from the entrance. "Not now," Sarah murmured under her breath, desperation tinging the appeal. Time seemed to turn sticky, and the vows spoken just earlier felt like they were slipping through her fingers. She needed to act, to intervene, but before she could move, her mother approached the altar. The officiant faltered, unsure how to proceed. "Margaret," he said hesitantly, "this is a private ceremony." But her mother, unfazed, swept her gaze over the crowd, finally locking eyes with Sarah. A silent challenge passed between them. Sarah felt her breath hitch. The weight of that moment was too much for the joyful occasion. "Emily," her mother started, her voice carrying a chill that cut through the warm room. "Do you really understand what you're getting into?" A collective gasp went through the crowd. Eyes shifted nervously as they sensed the sudden shift in energy. Sarah felt hot anger bubbling beneath her skin. How dare she? Emily's expression shifted from confusion to distress, and Sarah stepped forward, instinctually blocking her daughter from her mother's view. "Stop," Sarah said, her voice steady yet trembling with emotion. "This is not the time or place for your games." Her mother's lips curled into a sardonic smile. "Games? I'm only telling her the truth," she shot back, her tone icy but sharp with underlying fury. "The truth she deserves to know before it's too late." Mom, Sarah began, but her mother raised her hand, silencing her. It was a move both familiar and unsettling, the tone of command she'd always wielded until now. "Your precious daughter is marrying into a family with a history, Sarah. A past that can eclipse any future they think they have." The crowd was rapt, caught in a whirlwind of emotions. Sarah could feel their watching eyes, the confusion, the fear her mother was manipulating them, just as she had with Sarah all those years ago. The air crackled with tension, and Sarah's heart sank further. Emily's voice broke through the stillness, quietly firm. Mom, what truth? Jake placed a tentative hand on Emily's back, silently assuring her. But it was as if a line had been drawn in the sand. The moment had spiraled beyond Sarah's control. Emily, Sarah said, turning to face her daughter fully, no matter what she says, you have to trust. Trust what? Emily interrupted, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. How can I trust anything when I don't even know for all these years? You never told me the truth. The accusations hung heavy in the air. Everything had changed in that one moment, cracking the foundation of their relationship with shocking ease. Sarah felt her heart shatter under the weight of her daughter's words. The stakes were rising, and this wasn't just about Emily marrying Jake anymore. It was about destiny, family, and the truth that could redefine them all. Before she could respond, her mother stepped closer. Let me tell you a story, Emily. One that will change everything you think you know. Looming revelations danced in Sarah's mind, threatening to bury her under their weight. Would her mother succeed in unraveling the very fabric of their lives? The face-off was electric, and as hope battled despair, Sarah realized she had a choice to make: defend her legacy or risk losing everything she treasured. The silence was deafening, and Sarah's pulse quickened. Raw emotions swelled within her, but she knew she wouldn't or couldn't back down. Mom, she said fiercely, you may have your secrets, but so do I, and I'm ready to reveal mine. As the air turned thick with tension, the crowd leaned in, breathless with anticipation. What would come next? Would it be the salvation they yearned for, or the destruction they feared? Sarah was ready to fight, but would Emily stand beside her? What hidden truths would emerge from the shadows, and could love withstand the storm that was brewing? The officiant's uncertain glance lingered in the air, the weight of his disapproval evident. But it was nothing compared to the tension vibrating between Sarah and her mother. Emily's eyes darted between the two women, her heart visibly cracking under the pressure. Are you ready, Sarah? Her mother taunted, the words sharp and cold. Are you really prepared to let your precious daughter marry into a family you've kept her away from? Sarah took a deep breath, grounding herself despite the storm inside. The fact that she was standing on the edge of a precipice, her daughter's trust hanging by a thread, made the stakes impossibly high. Emily, Sarah said, trying to find her daughter's gaze. There's so much I stop. Emily interrupted, a mix of anger and pain saturating her voice. Just stop. Tell me why my life was defined by secrets. Why didn't you trust me with the truth? The crowd tensed, caught in the midst of a dark family drama they had not anticipated. The air felt dense, heavy, almost suffocating. Sarah longed to reach out, to comfort her, but the schism between them had grown larger, fueled by the unspoken words hovering just out of reach. Your mother believed she was protecting you, Margaret interjected, her eyes narrowing slightly. She took a step forward, making her shadow loom larger over the ceremony. But how protected can someone be when they live in a glass house, Sarah? Stop it. Jake's voice pierced through the tension. He clearly felt the gravity of the situation. Everyone deserves to know the truth, but you're not helping. Thank you for your input, Jake, Margaret replied dismissively, her tone sharp. She focused her gaze back on Emily, a predator surveying her prey. You deserve to know the truth about your father's family. Their history is clouded with darkness. Darkness? Emily whispered, her voice trembling. Things that should be been shared, Margaret insisted, ignoring the plea in Sarah's eyes. Secrets that could damage everything for generations to come. Do you really want to marry into that? Sarah felt the ground shift beneath her. She could see Emily's resolve faltering, confusion dripping into her features. Mom? Emily looked up, searching Sarah's eyes, desperate for clarity. What is she talking about? Emily, Sarah said softly, her heart racing. Some things are painful and some things might change how you see everything. You can't just leave it there. Emily's voice rose, the frustration bubbling over. You owe me an explanation. As silence plunged back into the room, Sarah clenched her fists, the truth about her own secrets tightening in her chest. She felt torn, her heart screamed at her to reveal everything. But fear loomed large, threatening to destroy the very fabric of what they had built. "Do you remember the day we moved?" Sarah finally ventured, her voice shaky but steady. The whispers, the constant need to be cautious? It wasn't just about starting fresh. There was more. The crowd hung on her every word, acutely aware that the moment held profound implications. Emily blinked, the reality settling in. What are you saying?" "You deserve to know why I kept you away," Sarah said, her voice quivering. "I was trying to protect you from the truth." That the words caught in her throat. Reckoning hung thick in the air. That your father's past could shatter everything we've built. The crowd gasped collectively, and Sarah felt every pair of eyes bore into her. Had she gone too far? Margaret's expression shifted slightly, as if Sarah had stolen her thunder, revealed a secret meant to remain hidden. "No!" Margaret exclaimed, her voice rising dangerously. "Sarah, don't do this. You don't understand the consequences." But the look in Emily's eyes, a mixture of fear and curiosity, pain and hope, was enough to keep Sarah going. "Mom, please," Emily urged. "Whatever it is, I can handle it. I need to know." As Sarah prepared to unveil the truth, a single thought haunted her. What if the truth did more damage than protection ever could? With her heart in her throat, she took a deep breath and prepared to reveal everything. The moment of truth was upon them, and Sarah knew there was no turning back. But as she began to speak, the sudden sound of shattering glass echoed through the venue, a premonition, perhaps, of what was to come, what had just been broken, and would the pieces ever be put back together again? A hush fell over the crowd as the sound of glass clinking against the floor shattered the tension. Everyone turned in disbelief toward the source, revealing a server frozen in place, mouth agape at the mess he had created. Wine pooled around splintered shards, like blood on a battlefield, horrifyingly juxtaposed with the joyful occasion meant to celebrate love. "Jake!" Emily called out, her voice cutting through the chaos. "Help him!" Jake dashed over to assist, but Sarah's focus was on her daughter. The fire in those familiar eyes now ignited with more than just anger. The moment of silence had dissipated, leaving only Sarah's unyielding desire to share everything with Emily. "Listen to me, Em," she said, locking her gaze tightly on her daughter. "Everything I did was out of love and fear." She swallowed hard, feeling the weight of the world pressing so heavily on her chest that it became nearly unbearable. "Your father's family was tangled in scandals that could ruin everything we have. Secrets they would take to the grave, but it wasn't my place to keep you in the dark forever." Emily's brows knitted in confusion, her body language fraught with turmoil. "What kind of secrets?" she asked, her voice trembling as she clutched at the edge of her dress for support. "Emily, your father." Sarah hesitated, the confession hovering on her lips, laden with the pain of history. "He wasn't who you thought he was. There was a lot of trouble, a lot of darkness in his past. I sacrificed so much to keep you from it. This was supposed to be about your happiness, not the shadow of a legacy I wanted you to escape." Margaret scoffed softly, arms crossed, feigning indifference but unable to hide the keen interest that flickered in her eyes. "You still don't get it, do you, Sarah?" "Shut up, Margaret," Jake spat back, still busy picking up glass shards and mopping up spilled wine. "Mom, just tell me," Emily pressed, urgency creeping into her tone. "What did he do?" The gravity of those unspoken words weighed down on Sarah like a leaden cloak. Her mind raced through memories of the late-night phone calls, the feeble whispers that echoed through hallways, the times she had to soothe nightmares with heavy strokes of comfort. "They were involved in illegal activities, Em. You were raised away from that kind of life because I wanted you to be safe. I wanted you free from their mistakes," Sarah finally admitted, letting the words tumble out, desperate for understanding. Emily recoiled slightly, shock etched across her face. "What do you mean? How illegal?" Wincing at the dawning horror reflected in Emily's eyes, Sarah felt her heart break. "Drugs, gambling, they got tangled up in things that could taint your future." "Mom!" Emily's voice broke, the reality crashing down on her. The truth wove itself into the very fabric of their relationship, the lies that had seemingly protected now threatening to strangle. Suddenly, a muffled commotion broke out at the entrance of the venue, drawing everyone's attention. The door burst open, revealing a man clad in a well-tailored suit, eyes sweeping the crowd with permeating intensity. "Is this the wedding?" he asked, stepping forward, oblivious to the debris, his voice dripping with authority. Sarah recognized him instantly, someone from her past, someone connected to the secrets. Her stomach dropped as dread curled around her like a fog. "Who is he, Mom?" Emily demanded, her focus shifting back to Sarah, pinning her with a look filled with hurt and disbelief. "Emily," Sarah stammered, the implications of their revelations hanging in the air like a storm cloud. The weight of her choices bore down on her. As the man advanced, a chilling realization swept over Sarah. Whatever was left of their world was unraveling. What secrets would this new arrival expose? And would it be enough to shatter the fragile ties binding them together? The man's presence loomed large in the room, demanding attention. He scanned the guests with an authoritative gaze that made the air feel electric. Every head turned, murmurs rippling through the crowd, a low tide of uncertainty washing over the celebration. "Who is he?" Emily's voice cracked, her eyes darting between her mother and the stranger. "What does he want?" But Sarah was lost. Her breath hitched in her throat, and her heart pounded as memories of her past flooded back, flashes of nights spent in whispered conversations, shadows in dark corners, and the overwhelming need to protect Emily from truths that felt too colossal to bear. "Let us step outside," the man suggested, taking a few steps towards Sarah, his demeanor steady and commanding. "We need to talk." "Talk about what?" Emily shouted, her frustration palpable, intertwining with fear. "Mom, you can't just let him." "Emily, please," Sarah interrupted, her voice shaky yet resolute. "Just trust me." Jake looked up from where he crouched, debris still scattered around him. "Sarah, who is he? What does he want with you?" His tone was sharp, protective and fierce as a lion. Sarah's throat tightened, words slipping through her fingers like sand. She glanced around the crowd, faces filled with mixed concern and curiosity, seeing the very real danger of the situation. She gripped Emily's arm. "Stay close to me. I can explain later." But Emily's expression hardened. "What more is there to explain, Mom? You've already kept me in the dark about things that could ruin everything." "Enough," Sarah snapped, the authority in her voice surprising even herself. "This isn't just about you or me. It's bigger than that." The man in the suit stepped towards them, frustration etched on his face. "Can we get on with this?" The atmosphere felt heavy, like a storm brewing in the distance. Deep down, Sarah knew that whatever was coming next could endanger everything she had worked to build. She gathered her breath and turned her focus back on the stranger. "Then let us talk." "Here." "Fine," he replied, an edge of impatience creeping into his voice. "The truth is finally going to come out. You know that, right?" The crowd began to murmur again, whispers spilling out like an avalanche. Emily looked at Sarah, eyes searching for reassurance, while Jake moved closer, standing protectively by her side. "Let us not do this here," Sarah pleaded, desperation spilling from her. "Not at a wedding." The man raised an eyebrow, his icy demeanor unyielding. "You think this is about decorum? This is about survival, Sarah. And it's time for a reckoning." "Reckoning?" Emily echoed, barely above a whisper, her confusion replaced with anxious apprehension. "What does he mean?" Sarah closed her eyes for just a moment. How did it come to this? It felt like all her carefully built walls were crumbling, leaving her exposed. "You can't possibly understand, Em. I thought I was protecting you, but maybe I was just keeping you from something that was inevitable." Suddenly, Jake stepped in front of Emily, shielding her as the tension crackled. "If you're involved in something shady, I'm not going to let you hurt her." Sarah's heart raced. They had been thrown into a game she had fought to shield them from, but the stakes were rising, and the impending storm was impossible to ignore. The suited man's gaze softened ever so slightly. "I'm not here to hurt anyone, but if you don't come with me now, consequences will follow." As the weight of his words settled over the room, Sarah felt an unsettling urgency. The truth was about to spill over, and she had to decide. Did she fight to protect her daughter from the very thing she had tried to shield her from, or did she relinquish control and face whatever was coming head-on? "Stay right here," she whispered to Emily, feeling her heart tear at the thought of leaving her alone. But as she took a step toward the man, a terrifying thought echoed in her mind. Was this the moment that would change everything forever? As she walked away from Emily, each step felt like cutting a thread that had held them together. What secret lay just beyond that door, and how would it redefine their lives? The door swung shut behind Sarah with a slow finality that echoed through the stillness. Outside, the cool evening air was a stark contrast to the charged atmosphere of the celebration inside. She felt the weight of the man's presence the instant they were alone, an oppressive aura that begged for answers. "What do you want?" she demanded, the tremor in her voice belying her bravado. He studied her for a moment, the corners of his mouth twitching as if he were savoring her confusion. "What I want is simple, Sarah. I need you to understand the stakes of your past." "My past?" She felt anger flare within her. Anger at him. Anger at herself for even being here. "You think you can just waltz in and dictate terms? You don't know me." "Actually, I know you better than you think," he replied, his voice low and steady. "This is about your father's business, the one you inherited. It's at risk, and you need to make a choice." Her heart clenched painfully at the mention of her father, memories flooding back the long nights she spent learning about the family company, her father's hopeful aspirations, and the burden of expectations he placed upon her shoulders. It was a legacy she had embraced, nurtured, and now feared was slipping away. "What are you talking about?" she said through gritted teeth, struggling to keep her composure. "And why should I trust you?" "Because time is running out. The enemy isn't just an abstract threat. They're after what you have, and they won't stop until they get it." The sincerity in his eyes gave her pause. Perhaps he understood more than she realized, but trusting him felt like jumping off a cliff. The memory of Emily, her daughter's face wrought with worry and confusion, flickered in her mind, pulling her back from the edge. "I can't just abandon her," Sarah murmured, more to herself than to him. "No one is asking you to abandon her. But keeping the truth from her puts her in even greater danger." His words cut through her fog of emotion like a knife. "You're in a position where secrets and silence could destroy everything you love. You must confront this together." A tremor of uncertainty coursed through her. Could she truly expose Emily to this world? All the dangers that lay in the shadows, all the darkness she had fought to shield her from? Yet, the gravity of the man's words felt undeniable. Was she already too late? "Why did you come now?" she asked, searching his face for any signs of deception. "Why not before?" "Because the situation just turned more precarious." He looked behind him as if expecting someone to appear. "You were living a lie for too long, and its cracks are showing. I needed you to be vulnerable enough to hear me." A cold realization settled in Sarah's chest. The wedding had drawn the wrong attention. "What's going to happen if I refuse?" The man took a step closer, the urgency in his voice enough to rattle her composure. "You'll lose everything, not just your father's legacy, but your relationship with Emily. I'm only here to help you protect what matters most." She looked away, grappling with the impossible reality unfolding before her. Finally, the weight of her decision pressed against her more than ever. "What are the next steps?" "First, you need to tell her the truth. Then we prepare for the fight ahead." A shiver of fear ran down her spine. Was she really willing to strip away the illusion of safety she had crafted for her family? She could almost hear Emily's voice, laced with anger and betrayal. But could lying truly protect her? "Do it tonight," he urged, his voice compelling her to act. "Before the clock runs out. Face it together." With a deep breath, Sarah returned her gaze to the door leading back into the celebration, her heart racing in rhythm with the escalating stakes. Was she ready to shatter their fragile world for the sake of a truth buried far too deep? As she stepped back toward the door, shadows flickered in her mind, each step fraught with the fear of what awaited on the other side. The truth loomed large, and she knew it would change everything. But did she dare to push it into the light? The moment of reckoning was here, and Sarah felt the ground shift beneath her feet. What awaited her when she opened that door? Would she find understanding, or would it tear her family apart? With a thud, Sarah's heart matched the sound of her fist landing against the heavy door. She stood frozen, envisioning the laughter and cheer just beyond the wood. The brilliant colors of the festivities had never seemed so muted, the music a haunting reminder of the life she had been leading, one founded on foundations that were about to crumble. Taking a deep breath, she turned the knob. The door swung open, and the joyous scene unfolded before her like a movie reel, vibrant yet distant. Guests swirled around the dance floor, their faces illuminated by twinkling lights, each smile a stark contrast to the turmoil in her chest. What would she say? How could she break this bubble of happiness hovering over her family? Emily was dancing with a little boy, her laughter ringing with innocent delight. Just a few moments ago, that joy had filled Sarah with hope. Now it felt like a ticking time bomb. "Mom!" Emily caught sight of her and dashed over, eyes sparkling, a bright spot against the celebrations. "You have to see how amazing this is. They're doing a conga line and Emily, we need to talk." Sarah's voice broke the rhythm of the evening, a hesitant landing that dampened the glow of the party. Emily's smile vanished, concern washing over her features as she searched her mother's face. "Is something wrong?" "Not wrong, but important," Sarah corrected. The man's words echoed in her mind, urging her to be brave. "Can we step outside for a moment?" Emily's brow furrowed as she glanced back at the dancing crowd. "But my friends, I'll explain everything," Sarah said, squeezing her daughter's hand gently. Sarah led her outside, the chill of the air nipping at them as they settled on a quiet bench surrounded by trees. The distant sound of celebration faded to a hush, and the reality of their conversation pressed down on Sarah like a heavy blanket. "Mom, what is going on?" Emily's voice cut through the silence. It was laced with worry, that familiar tone she used when things got serious. "There's something I need to tell you," Sarah began, but as she started to form the words, doubt clawed at her. "It's about Grandpa's company. Is it doing well?" Emily's voice softened, the hope flickering to life. Sarah fought the lump in her throat. "Not as well as it should be. We're in danger, Emily. There are people who want what we have, what your grandfather built." The gravity of her words sank into the small space between them. Emily's brow knitted together, confusion swirling in her eyes. "What do you mean? What kind of danger?" "It's complicated," Sarah faltered, glancing away, the pain of betrayal prickling at her. How could she do this? How could she unravel the fabric of their lives with fear lurking in the shadows? Yet keeping quiet was just as dangerous. "There are things about the business I hid from you, things connected to our family that could put us at risk." "What kind of things?" Emily asked, her gaze fierce but frightened. "The kind that would change everything you know about our family." "And about me," Sarah confessed, her voice trembling. "I didn't want to worry you. I thought I could protect you from it. But Mom, we can face it together." Emily's voice rose in a plea, her courage infused with an urgency that struck Sarah deeply. The love in Emily's words ignited a flame of hope within her. Maybe they could face this together. Maybe truth could indeed be a shield, not just a sword. "I need you to trust me, sweetheart," Sarah urged, feeling the tide of their conversation shift. "We'll figure this out, I promise. But we need to be strong, and we have to suddenly—" A sharp sound interrupted them. A branch snapped nearby, and both women turned to see a shadow moving through the trees. "Who's there?" Sarah exclaimed, her heart racing once more as the evening's tension boiled. What if danger had really come for them? Would their moment of revelation lead to something darker lurking in the night? As the shadow stepped closer, Sarah's pulse quickened. Would they confront the truth of their family or the reality of the threat looming just out of sight? The figure stepped into the dim light, revealing not just a shadow, but a face that sent a chill crawling down Sarah's spine. An unfamiliar man, tall and imposing, with sharp features and a business suit that spoke of power and authority. "Sarah Miller," he began, his voice deep and smooth, laced with an unsettling familiarity. We need to talk about your father and the things he left behind. Emily gripped Sarah's hand tighter, confusion and fear clouding her usually bright demeanor. Who are you? Her voice quivered slightly, revealing her innocence mixed with the instinct to protect her mother. The man stepped closer, eyeing Emily with a hint of disdain as if she were an obstacle rather than family. I'm someone who knows the truth, he replied coolly. And if you're smart, you'll listen closely. Sarah felt the weight of those words bear down on her, knotting her stomach. We don't want any trouble, she said, standing protectively in front of Emily. We're not interested in whatever you're selling. Selling? A bark of laughter escaped him, surprisingly devoid of warmth. Oh, I'm not selling anything, Sarah. I'm here for something more valuable. He leaned closer, his tone lowering conspiratorially. Your father's legacy is in danger, whether you want to acknowledge it or not. And you know your mother is right, keeping secrets is a dangerous game. Get away from us, Emily cried, stepping forward, her bravery shining through the fear as she met the stranger's gaze. You have no right to come here and threaten my family. Threaten? No, sweetheart. I'm here to save you from a truth you've yet to learn. He gestured toward Sarah with a flick of his wrist. But she can only protect you so long. One way or another, you're going to have to choose who to trust. Emily stared, her expression battling between disbelief and helplessness. Sarah had never seen her daughter so bewildered, so lost in her quest for family, for connection. She felt tears prick at her eyes as she realized the burden her choices had placed on Emily. There's more to your father's business than what you've been told, the man continued, a predatory smile creeping across his lips. And if you want to save what your family has built, you'll have to face it head-on. Together. Together. The word hung in the air, tinged with both promise and dread. Sarah felt it wrap around her like a lifeline only to realize it was tethered to the storm that had loomed over them for so long. Mom, what does he mean? Emily asked urgently, her voice trembling with desperation. What's he talking about? The questions swirled like leaves in an autumn wind, and Sarah steadied herself, finally acknowledging the truth she had fought so hard to hide. Emily, there are secrets tied to your father's family. Secrets that could put us at risk. No, the man exclaimed, impatience creeping into his eyes. What she hasn't told you is the real danger. It's their actions in the past that could come back to haunt you now. Only by exposing them can you truly safeguard your future. Fear gripped Sarah's heart. She knew confronting those unveiled truths would be nothing short of chaotic, but she also realized, perhaps for the first time, that staying silent had only drawn them nearer to destruction. The man's gaze softened, slightly. You need to recognize that standing together is your only option. His voice was almost coaxing now, yet the barb of challenge embedded within still pricked at her. How can I trust you? Sarah implored, her heart racing as she assessed the situation, thoughts darting back to Emily's innocence amidst revelations of betrayal. Come with me, he offered, his tone steady, commanding, and terrifying all at once. I have something to show you, something that will reveal everything, the good and the bad. He took a step back as if inviting her to take that fateful leap. You'll understand what you must do next. Mom, Emily urged, glancing between them, eyes wide with fear and uncertainty. What should we do? Breathe, she told herself, feeling the rising tide of emotions swell within her. She met Emily's gaze so familiar, so precious, a mirror of her own soul. I don't know, she admitted, her heart aching. But I won't let fear hold us hostage anymore. Exactly, the man said, his voice a steady hum in the tempest of emotions swirling around them. The truth has a way of setting people free. Together, you can expose the lies your family has dealt with for too long. The shadows of doubt continued to cling to her, but as she gazed into her daughter's eyes searching for faith, searching for an answer, something clicked. This was their moment to take control, to confront whatever evaded them, to reclaim their family legacy from the crippling grip of secrets. Sarah took a deep breath, a sudden steely resolve overcoming her trepidation. We'll face it together, she declared, turning to the man. Show us what we need to see. He nodded, a sly smile breaking through. Then let us end this dance of deception. Let me lead you both to the truth that will change everything. As they stepped away from the serene chaos of the wedding behind them, Sarah felt her heart mount with every beat. Whatever awaited on the other side of this unknown journey, she felt an undeniable surge of determination. They were finally taking control, ready to fight for the bonds that held them together. But this would not be easy. A reckoning stirred ahead. The storm was coming, and so was the family revelation that could alter their lives forever. As they walked further into the twilight, a new resolve fused them together. Whatever was left behind, they would face the coming tempest together, unveiling the truth, united in love and the unbreakable bond of family. And somewhere in those quiet steps lay hope, glimmering against the unfolding chaos. Now it was their time for transformation, and it would spark a new beginning. You need to subscribe to the channel now so you don't miss out on our next exclusive story. Every heart-wrenching tale deserves your attention. Leave a like to keep the algorithm alive and thriving. Let me know your thoughts about this emotional ending in the comments below. Every word matters. And don't wait not even one more second. Share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this incredible transformation. Your support is what fuels us. True fans.